Hey everybody, I'm Taylor,
And I'm Justin.
and this is the first episode of the Tekast. So today we're going to be talking about what the podcast will withhold, and just a few basic topics to start off our podcast for today. So this will probably be slightly cringe because I've never done a podcast before, neither has he, so this is going to be a first time thing for us, but at least we've got high quality equipment.
We've kind of thought up some topics just
Yeah,
about
so
tech in the world.
yes, and we're going to talk about back to school, but within back to school, we can talk about like technology advanced throughout school and stuff like that, and just how technology is continuing to spread and become more sophisticated. So, anything you want to start off with, or you want me to start off, or whatever?
I mean, I'm hoping for a good podcast, and it's kind of just we're gonna start with tech, and then maybe it leads to other stuff like in the future.
Yeah, and I think we're going to be talking also a lot about, this is going to be more of a serious podcast. We will have a lot of laughs on here, boys, but for sure I think we're going to be talking a lot about a business and, business stuff and how to start a business. I think there's a sound.
No,
and...
this is PS4.
Oh, this is the PS4? Sorry. My PS4 just turned off. Hang on one sec. Alright, sorry everybody. I had to close my door so we have a less echoey room. This is actually a fairly small room, so it's not big enough for... Well, it's big enough to echo, but I have to talk really loud, which I don't feel like doing. And I turned up the gain on my Blue Yeti, so we don't have to do that. So, I think I just want to start with saying that the podcast is the Tekast. It's tech and innovation. And I think we're going to be talking a lot about, within tech, other things such as, like, business and stocks and investing and things like that.
And video games, too.
Oh, yeah, no, and video games. And so it's a range of things. But we wanted to simplify it down to business and, or not business, technology in itself and innovation. And just stuff like that. Just make a cool podcast for people to listen to and just to enjoy. Our podcasts will have an image displayed over the screen. So if you just want to listen to this while playing your favorite video game, or listen to this while, just in the car on a road trip or
homework.
Just doing homework or whatever, you can definitely do that. There will be no, like, please watch me do this right now so you can pause your competitive CSGO match. It's like, no, don't worry about it.
Or your competitive Overwatch match.
You
for
know
you
what?
Lucio mains out there.
Oof, dude, for sure.
Hippity hoppity, get off my freaking property.
Hippity hoppity, you're on my property. No.
It's 4 boot kills.
But there will be, like, different segments, so I think, throughout the podcast, we'll probably have, occasionally we'll probably have a review segment of, like, for example, like this mic or the new phones, the new Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus,
New iPhone X.
Ultimate Ears, Boom 2 speaker. And,
some games that were announced at E3 and other
yeah,
big
exactly.
video
Just
game
like other
conventions.
things, we'll probably be making. That's me scratching my leg, by the way. Oh, yeet. So so we're filming this episode at like 12:03 in the morning, so that's fun. But yeah, so I guess we'll start with like going back to school and how technology is becoming more incorporated with that. So in our case, we go to private school. Ha, dab. No, I'm totally kidding. However, we do go to private school. So with private school, that's it's obviously very blessed. But with and just more schools in general, I'm starting to see we're starting to get stuff like smart boards, and we've had smart boards for a while, but I'm starting to see that expand to more schools around us. Like, obviously, we're not going to disclose any schools because we don't want any like any location disclosure. You know what I mean? Like that's private, but and also another reason we're going to put an image over the screen is because I don't think that. Once you put your internet on the face, it's your face on the
internet on the face.
You know what? Whatever. Once you put your face on the internet, it's there forever. You know what I mean? Like, there's no erasing anything you put on the internet. And we'll probably talk about that as well. But we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. But this is going to be kind of like a pilot of a TV show. It's going to include a lot of different things, and then, like... Oh, that's what was on my leg? Oof. What? I just found, like, dude, the little, a little piece of, like, plastic on the earbuds that I'm using was on my leg, and I said tear it off, and I waxed part of my leg. That was fun. So, And we're probably going to be talking about a lot of different things, but then in most podcasts, we'll probably just have like a certain topic. It'll be like Tekast episode, whatever, and then, whatever we're talking about, right? So, we'll probably talk about like internet safety and just, generally things that relate to technology. And,
using the internet properly.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that it's good to, with the like coming of age that technology is starting to become. I mean, technology is starting to become way more widespread. Like throughout the 2015, 2016, 2017, you know what I mean? Like it started to grow and grow and grow. And I think 2018 through 2019 and especially 2020 are going to be really big years for the expansion of technology. And for example, I saw something that was, it's actually a hotel in space that's launching in 2021, in December of 2021. So, and I think that in coming years, it's going to be it's going to expand more than it has in a long time. And I think that technology is becoming so popular now that it's, education of how to use those tools and how to keep yourself from, becoming a victim of, like hacking or somebody, God forbid, finding your location and robbing you. You know what I mean? But those are hypothetical situations, but they happen every day. So I think that education is really important with, how much technology is becoming a bigger thing now. I think that...
Well, I agree with you, but I also think that, like, technology is being incorporated into, like, youth so much. Like,
yeah.
Schools across America have maybe, like, 5 tablets in them for, like, even second graders. And because they know how to use it, it's more engaging because they're touching the screen and they're like, well, I play games on this, like, all the time. And so teachers are downloading these games, but these kids don't know, like, the full safety of being on the internet.
Right, yeah, and for sure. And I also think that the flip side of that, it's a double-edged sword. Like, it's for me, I've never looked at technology as something that is either good or bad. You really cannot look at technology as something that is good or bad without an incredibly high level of ignorance present in that train of thought. But if you do think that, I actually am going to backtrack. I don't think that if you think that you are ignorant. Some people might think that because, say, you've only seen the internet used one way for something bad. You might think the internet's bad in general because you've never known otherwise. That doesn't make you ignorant. That simply makes you withheld from certain knowledge. And I think that in that, you might think that the internet could be used for something bad. Like, you know what I mean? So the double-edged sword of not knowing that full safety of, like, going into school and seeing that tablet and then going home and being like, okay, I can do whatever I want on this, right? I think the double-edged sword of that is, like Justin said, it's incredibly engaging. When you go home and you watch Netflix on your iPad, or you play video games on your computer, or you play, PUBG Mobile on your phone, right? Or you're a second grade.
Or you watch Netflix for a lot of us, like, teenagers.
Yeah, exactly. Or, like, say you're in second grade and you go home and you play your little games on your iPad, right? Or you have your buddies over, right? You know what I mean?
And you're all playing Minecraft.
Right. You play, Minecraft Pocket Edition, which is literally Minecraft is timeless, okay? I am a teenager and I will say that Minecraft is timeless.
We must accept that Minecraft is now part of our culture.
Yes. But I think that...
Mine in a way.
No. I think that, school districts and schools in themselves are starting to understand that, when you go home and you play Minecraft Pocket Edition on your tablet and then you come to school the next day and you're learning on a tablet, you can make that connection. Like, wow, I go home and play on this and then I come into school and use it to learn. So I think that it's such a layered experience for children that are, young and impressionable. Mm-hmm. Like, when you're in those grades, like first, second, and third grade, you really absorb so much important information at that age, and if you don't take it all in, then you really have a detriment. So, I think that you make that connection, but you also learn that, like, you know what I mean? This isn't just, I can use it for games, but I can also use this to learn. And I think that's also something that parents are figuring out the more and more that school is incorporating technology in their curriculums.
The more and more, like, kids use technology in general.
Right, is that, like, okay, well, I see now that my kid can use this to learn and can also use this to play games. Like, this is not just something that's warping my child. Like, when parents see that there's a little second grader comes home and plays Minecraft with all their buddies, right? They're like, okay, well, this is just consuming my child. But when they... Well, go ahead.
Like, when I was little and I went home to play the Wii, alright, it's non-existent right now, but it was at a time
It was the stuff. Like, if you had a Wii, you were a cool kid.
If you had Wii Sports, you were the coolest kid around.
And the dude on there, you know what, never mind. I was just going to say the black dude on there would beat you at literally every sport, which is totally true. Like, that AI would beat you at every sport. Anyways, go ahead.
But it's also, like, you playing Minecraft Pocket Edition with your friends is, like, with your friends, and your parents look at it like it's consuming my kid, it needs to be stopped. I don't agree with that, because if you're playing with your friends and you're communicating, then you're still, like, talking to them, and it's a topic of conversation, and it's a way to kind of, like, I play with friends who I don't, like, see for 3 months at a time. I text my friends, I text one friend who I haven't seen in 9 years, and I just happened to get, like, their phone number because my mom met their parents, like, at a luncheon, and it's stuff like that that, like, lets us know that technology isn't the worst thing, because if you're using it to, like, text your friends and stay in touch with people, or play games with your friends, because games are generally fun, then it's not bad. But I do see where, like, if you're playing too much of it, it becomes a distraction, and I think that, you know, kids do make the connection that if you play Minecraft on your tablet and you go to school the next day and the teacher says, okay, I'm going to hand you and your table partner a tablet, and you're going to share and take turns naming the states of, you know, like, wherever you live.
Of Sudan. I'm totally kidding.
Or naming the provinces of wherever you live. It's the exact, like, parents know that too. And so they're going to, like, that's not something that just occurs at school. It's going to follow you home now because of that technology. Technology's physically available to everyone now. And, you know, a lot of people may not have it because they may just not, like, have the money to get one, or they may just not want one because they think of it in that way that it'll consume you. But no matter what you do, technology is going to be incorporated into your everyday life, and even in homework now, it's going to follow you home.
Right, yeah, and I think that at this point, so much of everything that we do, I can totally agree with you, because I think that so much of everything that we do is becoming technology-based that, you know, in past years, it's been like, okay, cool, you either like technology or you don't. It doesn't really matter. But it's becoming such a big thing now that it's like, you gotta hop on this train or get left behind. Because, like, hop on the Rust bus. No, but that's totally unrelated. But, like, you know, if your parents, per se, hate technology, they're super old-fashioned.
They're against it.
Yeah, they're just like, no, you can't use computer, you can't use an iPad. You're like, all right, whatever, you don't know what you're missing. And then you turn 13, 12, 14, 15, and you go into school and they hand you a laptop. You're like, well, what do I do with this? And they're like, well, don't use laptops or don't use computers. It's like, or an iPad or a Wii or an Xbox or PS4. It's like, well, no, my parents don't let me use that. And they're like, you know, that's
and that happens to a lot of kids.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so many kids are restrained from using technology because, like, it's gonna consume your life. It's like, I think that, especially with, I'm just going to touch on this really quick. I think especially with what you said, it's like, I've experienced a lot of people's parents that really don't like technology. It's like, okay, you can hate your child playing video games as much as you, and if there are any parents listening to this for any reason whatsoever, you think about it like this from now on. You can dislike video games as much as you want, but if your child uses that as an outlet to connect to your friends and to have something in common and to have a topic of conversation, just like you said, like, that's such an important thing for someone that's, you can be, you know, 6 playing Minecraft Pocket Edition with your friends on your server, or you can be 20 and you can be playing League of Legends with your friends, you know what I mean? Like, your college buddies. It really...
There are pro video gamers who are, like, 30, and they still play on, like, a team. And they do this every day, and they just have so much, like, fun with it, and being able to like, just use it as an outlet to make money, and it's something they generally enjoy. I think most parents don't realize that video games aren't, like, they're not bad, and I think the reason most parents don't like video games is because they think my child is using this as a way to escape, like, the real world. And, like, parents are always like, oh, is there something you don't like about the real world? And kids are always like, no, there's nothing I don't like about the real world. I love my life in general. And I think parents are misunderstanding the concept of technology because they don't understand. And I say they don't understand, I mean, like, they don't... Some parents don't know how to text. Some parents don't know how to, like, use Facebook. Some parents don't know how to use Instagram. Some parents don't know how to use Twitter. It's stuff like that that makes it hard for parents to understand why their child uses technology as an outlet of, like, I can see what my friends are doing. I can keep tabs on my friends. And, like, if we want to make plans for the weekend, we can hang out. If we want to go see a movie, we can hang out. We can communicate, like, oh, are you about to get on the Xbox? Well, I was just about to. I gotta go mow the yard. Okay, well, I'll wait for you. About, like, 30 minutes, 45 minutes later. Okay, I'm back. Okay, you want to play? Sure, let's do it. So you hop on with your friend and you're talking, and that's just such a way to, like, catch up on the weekends or on the weekdays and just let your friend vent. There have been so many times I come home on a Friday and I'm just like, dude, tests are the worst. And my friends just sit there and take it because you play with them and you do so much for them, like, just being their friend and doing so much for them in this kind of game-related world that they begin to care about you. And it's not just that, but as you're talking to them, they'll see that you're, like, a good person, and they'll begin to care about you more. It's a way to formulate relationships when you can't see your friends all the time, like, when you can't ride your bike to your friend's house, and just stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's, like, for sure, especially with I really like how you said how you can't ride your bike to your friend's house. Like, it's in a world now where, like, sometimes my mom will be like, why do you play video games? Why don't you just go outside and hang out with your buddies? And I'm like, well, if I was going to take my bike to one of my friend's houses, you'd say that I can't because I'm going to get snatched by a child predator. It's like, and we live in a pretty safe area. Like, we don't live in a bad area whatsoever, and not to say that, oh, we live in a good area. It's just adding to the fact of, like, you know, it's just, that's how bad it's getting, is, like, even in good areas, it's still becoming a problem. But yeah, like, it's becoming so much of a way, I don't know, it's just such, like, you think about that, and that's the new way to make friends, you know, like, I have a friend that lives in Cleveland, Ohio, that I go to camp with every year, that I go to a camp there, a computer coding camp, and I don't get to see him, you know, I don't get to see him 11 and a half months out of the year, but we play Overwatch together, and we get on Discord calls, and we talk, and you know what I mean, and that's how we keep up with each other, and it's like, you just, it's, I don't even know what to say, like, it's so important to be able to use that as, like, a social outlet. Like, you can't just sit, like, if I don't know, it's just so weird, like, sitting in your room and watching TV now, it's like, oh, I'm gonna go bike to one of my friends' houses. It's different now. Like, you play video games and you use that as, like, your social outlet. Like, you talk to your friends.
That's your way of biking to your friend's house.
Right, like, you are like, you are cyber-ish, like, I don't really know how to say it.
You're on the same team, and you're fighting, like, the same monster, or you're fighting, like, a team, and you have to figure out with your friend, okay, what's the best way to combat this? It's more logical thinking than, like, just, oh, well, video games make you dumb because you're not thinking with your brain.
And then you gotta say, hey, man's not dumb. No, but, for sure, and I think that, like, you know, if you and your friend are doing the same Skyrim raid, or, you know, like, you just like you said, like, fighting the same boss, like, that is the exact, that is today's way of you and your friends, you know, squadding up and going to the arcade, or squadding up and going to the movies, you know what I mean? Like, and at this point, it's become like, oh, you're gonna make plans for the weekend? Well, yeah. It's like, that's how you make plans. That's how you make plans for the weekend. That's how you talk to your friends. That's what you do with your friends on a daily basis. Like, it's because of the world we live in now, and because of how technology has become incorporated in everyone's lives, that now it's such an important outlet that you need, and especially with young impressionable kids that are in, like, first, second, and third and fourth grade. You know what I mean? Like, they really need that as an outlet, because they're going to grow up with that the rest of their lives. And especially with our generation and the generation younger than us and the generation younger than them, especially in that area of, or in, like, you know, kids in third grade and fourth grade and fifth grade and sixth grade and seventh grade and eighth grade, like, in that group of years that you are, you know, living, right? You so badly need an outlet to be able to make friends, to talk to friends, to keep up with friends, you know what I mean? And without that, you become a recluse, and you become, like, someone that never has any friends. Like, I met, on PUBG, I met, my Canadian friend Ryan, and we talk all the time, and, probably I'm going to Canada next summer, so I'm probably going to meet him, which is going to be cool. But it's, like, also, you make friends on the internet. Like, it's such a good way to, and also on the internet, you can express yourself, you know what I mean? Like, you can go on YouTube, and you can make videos about your life, and you can say, this is what I'm dealing with, and you can express yourself to people who understand you. You can go on Reddit, and you can go on a page and talk about what you're going through, or you can go on Twitter, and you can tweet to people that understand what your life is like. Like,
You can even text a therapist now.
Right, like, if you struggle with depression, not that I do or that he does, but say you do, because I know people that have, there's literally online websites now where it's online therapy. Like, you can video chat with a therapist that, like, talks to you, like, and also,
insurance is online.
Yeah,
you can
insurance is
buy movie
online.
tickets online.
Your bank account is online. Everything is online now. Like, you go to the bank to cash checks, and that's it. At this point, you pay with PayPal, you use Bitcoin, you put in your credit card.
Apple Pay.
Yeah, exactly. Apple Pay, Google Pay, Samsung Pay, like, all of that stuff. It's so, and it's just, like, when you go into, when I go get my hair cut, after I get my hair cut, the lady that cuts my hair pulls out her iPad with the little, like, thing that goes in the aux input that has, like, the little credit card swiper. Just swipe it, sign your name in there, boom, it's done, right?
Like, I sign in to sports clips on a tablet.
Yeah, and it's like, also, you save your passwords everywhere, and it's like, you make that cyber footprint, you know what I mean? Like, you go everywhere on the internet now, because that's how you get places. Like, I remember, there was, oh shoot, what's his name? Gucci Mane. Gucci Mane did an interview with Complex on an episode of, Shoe Shopping, or on an episode of, I don't remember what it's called. I used to watch it all the time, but it's like their shoe shopping episode with celebrities. And he did a video about, or an interview when he was on house arrest. He would go online, and he would talk about, like, shopping online. Like, say you drive to the mall, right? You gotta spend money on gas, probably. You're probably gonna get food. You're probably gonna end up buying something. But you have to walk all over the mall, right? And find all your different stores and see if everything's in stock. Or you can just go online, type in the web address, and see whatever you want. Or you can Postmate food. Like,
you can DoorDash, like, tons of... I was listening to, like, some friends' conversations, and they're like, yeah, we DoorDash, like, some Wendy's at, like, 3 o'clock in the morning. And it's like, it's crazy how you can do that now, because the concept of someone, like, signing up for that, and you're paying someone to deliver food to you on, like, a daily basis, that used to only be available with pizza and, like, a few other types of food. And if you wanted it, you had to go get it.
Right, exactly. Like, if you wanted the delivery, you had to get someone that had a delivery. And of course, their delivery range and their delivery miles. Like, at this point, Postmates and things like Waiter and Postmates and Favor and stuff like that and DoorDash, like, everything is becoming automated. Food delivery, mail delivery, bank account, you know what I mean? Like,
assembling cars. It's not just in, like, food industry. It's in, like, assembling cars, assembling, like, desks sometimes even.
Yeah, it's like, if you don't know how to do something, you're just like, okay, hey, YouTube how do I do this, right? Like, or you can look at reviews of stuff, like, you know, however many years ago.
Before you buy, like...
Yeah, like,
that super nice, like, maybe it's just like a simple little sweatshirt that says something like, I don't know, Jake Paul on
man's
it.
not dumb. Boom. Right? Big shot. So, say you want to buy a hoodie, but
you look at the reviews,
right,
and then you
look at the reviews and see if it's true to size, or if it's a little bit big or a little bit small, or
if the material's good,
right? If
or
the material's
after
nice,
one wash it
and
starts
if it keeps
peeling.
you warm, or if it like shrinks, or if the text fades, or if it, you know what I mean? Like, you learn so much from other people's experience at this point, and now
it's like the what is it? Sugar-free gummy bears.
Yeah, exactly.
It's how they may produce a lactate movement.
Yeah, it's like 10 years.
Seriously.
Oh.
Like, have you never read the reviews on this?
No, I don't really eat gummy bears though. So for example, 10 years ago, if you wanted to go in and buy a hoodie from somewhere, you had to go in and look at the hoodie and try it on, and you didn't know if the letters were gonna fade, or if it was gonna super shrink after one wash, or if it wasn't perfect size unless you went into the store and actually came home with it and washed it once or twice. Like, you had to figure out
which you couldn't do without buying it.
Right, exactly. Which then, if the letters fade, they're not going to accept it back. They're going to be like, oof, sorry, nope.
Leslie, nope.
But, I mean, and also, the internet can teach you so much. Like, when you go into class and you use a laptop and you use a tablet, like, you find out that, like, wow, I can really use this for whatever I want. And it gives you, like, you have your own world in your hands, you know what I mean? Like, you can do whatever you want with that power, which is the reason some people conduct human trafficking, the reason some people use it to lure children, but it's also the same reason some people go and talk about their depression. It's the same reason people go and express themselves on Reddit and Tumblr and YouTube and Twitter and Instagram.
It's the same reason people are still Skyping after, like, 20 years, even though Skype is dead.
Right. It's the same reason that you can keep up with friends that live across the country and across the world, even. It's such a powerful...
It's an influential part of our culture.
Exactly. That's literally, could not have said that any better myself. It is, at its finest, an influential part of our culture. That is exactly what it is.
And that doesn't mean, like, just teenagers. I think it means if you were even around for, like, the first iPhone, it started right then. And, you know, people were hesitant about it. But then iPhone 2 came out, and iPhone 3. First iPhone I ever got was an iPhone 4. I was 9 years old.
Same. I got an iPhone 4, I was like 8 or 9.
And I was so excited. And now I have an iPhone 5, and I'm a teenager. But I don't think that, like, if you're just a teenager and, like, you think, oh, well, this is, like, grown-ups don't understand this. Like, my grandparents have no idea how to text. That's not true. We taught my grandma how to text, like, literally a year ago.
Help, Grandma, are you okay? Bread. Buy me bread. Walmart. That was a meme. That was amazing. But yeah, like, I don't know. But I feel like the human, like, I feel like what we do, and we as in the human race, like, when we find a new concept that we can't grasp, we banish it from our lives as far as we can. We push it out. We keep it forgotten. We bury it in the back of our minds. If we can't grasp and learn something, then we don't accept it. It's mentally and physically not okay for us. Like, we can't accept something we can't understand. For example, like, when some people can't figure out math, people hate math. They're like, math is stupid. I hate math. It's like,
they push it away.
Yeah, they push it away.
And
they expel it
for
from
as
their
long
lives.
as they can, and until it's pushed deep down inside them, and they can't remember anything about it. And math's a huge part of being able to get a job.
Well, right. And now I think that, like, people that are older, like people that are, people that are parents, people that are grandparents, have pushed technology out. When the first floppy disk came out, they're like, all right, I can't figure this out, whatever. First iPhone comes out, can't figure it out, whatever. iPhone 5 comes out, can't figure it out, whatever. And now we're to the point where, you've got face recognition on phones. You've got ways to express yourself on the internet. You've got ways to talk to people. You've got ways to find therapy. You've got ways to do literally everything online. And it's gotten to the point where those people cannot push it out any further. And it's gotten to the point where it's kind of like playing dodgeball, right? And your team is losing players. And every time you lose, say your team consists of 100 people and the enemy team consists of 100 people. Say every time your team loses 25 people or 20 people, the enemy team gets to move up a line and they get closer to you. That's the floppy disk. Team loses another 20 people. First iPhone. Team loses another 20 people. First MacBook. Team loses another 20 people. That's getting progressively closer and closer, and to the point now where we've got Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, online bank accounts. It's such, what I mean? Like, it's so, the odds are really and truly stacked against you if you don't use technology. I mean, you can't keep up with people. You can't keep up with life. You can't keep up with the daily hustle bustle of life if you don't use technology. And I think that is why technology is truly becoming so important, is because it is every day it's getting closer to the supporting pillar, the one and only supporting pillar of our culture. And I think that in 5 years, our entire culture will be built on the pillar that is the internet.
I'd say that's pretty true, but that pillar that's gonna be the internet is not just going to be like the iPhone. I think it's going to be innovations and
no, not at all. Not like technology in itself. I think the internet as in like any and every platform, all technology, everything you can do with that. I don't think it's just going to be like the iPhone or Apple or Google or...
It's not going to be one specific brand or one specific type of technology.
No, not at all. I think it's going to be, in my opinion, it's going to be the entirety of the internet. Every platform, such as YouTube, Tumblr, Reddit, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, the iPhone, the Galaxy, MacBooks, laptops, Chromebooks, everything like that. You know what I mean? Like Bluetooth speakers, headphones, all of that in the entirety of the internet and technology will be what our society is built off of, because that's what it's coming to, which is not a bad thing. It's a coming of age, and I think that people have a hard time accepting it, and that is... Sometimes the truth is hard, but I think that's what the truth is. But yeah, so that's my opinion on that.
I definitely agree with that. And I think that technology's easy to grasp. You just got to be willing to grasp it. Firmly grasp it.
Yeah. No, but I think that's so true. Like, it's different from most other things, because most things that we can't accept are because we can't understand it, or we can't wrap our brains around that, right? But with technology, it's not that we can't understand it, it's that we don't want to understand it. We don't want that to be the reality.
We couldn't understand it at first, so we don't want to understand it now.
Right, exactly. And I don't think that's the younger generation. I think people that are teenagers, you know what I mean? They welcome that. They welcome that new MacBook. They welcome that new iPad. They welcome that new YouTube video, right?
They welcome opening up their phone and seeing that they got DM'd by their friend who lives 500 miles away.
Exactly, right? Like, you literally look forward to, like, oh man, I can't wait to hear from my friend, you know what I mean? Like, I can't wait to talk to him or talk to her or call her or see what's going on. Or, like, FaceTime, you know what I mean? Or something like that. Just, I think that the younger generation has grown up with that, and so we welcome it. But I think that the older generation, that being something that's brought in, it's kind of like domesticating an animal. See, when when there's a wild horse is, unbroken, unsaddled, doesn't need much. Their hooves don't need clipping. Their manes don't need clipping, and their manes don't need trimming and like deknotting. You know what I mean? Like their hair doesn't need cleaning. You know what I mean? Their tails don't need brushing. Like, they don't need to be saddled and washed. Like, they don't need to be fed. But then when you, like, they can be fed, they can feed themselves. When then you domesticate an animal, it brings in a foreign factor of, like, okay, now I can't do anything for myself, right? And I don't think that's the same. I think that it's more of, instead of growing up with that, I think it's, like, it's different to grow up with technology as it is to grow up without technology, and then later it be brought in like this foreign new thing that you don't understand and that you don't know how to use. And then when you see people around you that know how to use it, and you're like, you feel left out, you feel excluded, you're like, all right, I don't want anything to do with this, I don't want to accept it, whatever, leave it behind. But it's gotten to a point now where it's kind of like your shadow. You can't leave it behind anymore.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Like, technology is the shadow that's going to follow us all around, and that it's just gonna be something that, we can't get away. And it's like those videos of those little babies who are scared of their shadow, and it's like you're gonna be scared at first, but then you learn what it is, and you're like, oh, it's my shadow, there's like nothing to be afraid of. And it's gonna, as the day goes on, it's gonna get bigger. And so that's like technology. As the years go by, technology's going to get bigger, and it's going to expand, and it's going to grow, and it's going to be the thing that follows you around, and it's going to get so big that it's going to accumulate and just follow everyone around eventually, no matter what age you are, no matter how young you are, how old you are. I think it's going to start from a very, very early age, and so that's not necessarily a bad thing, because technology, by what you do with it, is not bad.
Exactly, and I think that also there's kind of a different version of that as well. Like it's a double-edged sword, because sometimes we let technology become too big in our existence, and it is the only thing we focus on. And not that it's bad to think about, like, to constantly think about, your dad or your mom that's working for a month at a time, on the other side of the world in China on an oil rig. It's not bad for you to wait for that, that text or that, or that call or that text, or, what I mean? Or like that text that they're on the way home and they're getting on the plane, you know what I mean? Like, that is not bad at all whatsoever, and it will never be bad. That will always be something that is good. But, however, when you start to think about, when you start going to sleep in class because all you're thinking about is playing video games when you get home, that's when it starts to become something that is not good. Because, school is such an important factor in, our lives, that we need to learn. We need to grow in our, in our mind. And our mind is growing so much that sometimes we get overwhelmed, and, our brain just can't handle that. So you just focus on one specific thing. Like, all you think about is going home and playing video games, so you ignore school. Or all you think about is school, so you ignore video games, and you ignore your friends. I think that paying attention to only one thing can be bad in itself, because you start to ignore outside things.
You can pay attention to different things at one time. Like, when you're at school, you pay attention to school. And when you come home, you pay attention to homework. And once you're done with that homework, you can pay attention to whatever the heck you want.
Exactly, and I think that it's, exactly, when you go to school, you pay attention to school. When you come home, you pay attention to your family, your friends, the video games you want to play, eating dinner, and going to bed at a reasonable time. You focus on those things. I don't think that we should clog our brains with so much at a time that it becomes overwhelming, and then we just shut everything else out except for one thing, and I think that's incredibly important. But, that's the final thing that I think I wanted to say.
Alright, so this has been the first episode of the Tekast, Tech and Innovation Podcast.
Tech and Innovation.
Thank you for listening, and we're going to hopefully upload more of these, but if you like this, please tell us in the comments below, this YouTube video or whatever platform you're using. And please also subscribe if you feel the need to. And if you have a friend who would like to listen to this as well, share it to them. And just help grow the community as we're just starting.
Right, yeah. I agree. Thank you guys so much for watching. And be sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below. Share the video with any friends that you think would also enjoy this type of content. And yeah, I think we'll catch you guys in the next podcast. So peace out.